So, welcome everybody to yet another live interview with Become a Fearless Father. And today I have the pleasure to be accompanied by Ken Carfagno. Did I say that correctly?
You did. I'm impressed.
Awesome. Thank you. It must be the the European side. We got some more accents going on that help sometimes. Anyway, Ken, thank you so much for taking the time to come on. I really appreciate that. We're going to dive right in. I always remind everybody, want to dive in first with a nice little question, and then we'll get to know you a little bit better, right? Start off with some value, and then after that, get to know you more and share some more value, right? That's what it's all about. So, Ken, let's start off with what we talked about earlier right away, right? And I'll share a little bit. We're both dadpreneurs, and sometimes we got to make tough decisions, and whether that's one way or the other, right? It could be business decisions that you say like, okay, I'm just gonna take it slower. I want to, I gotta spend more time with the family, or I must absolutely spend time with the family. And in my own case, right now, I've made the decision to go 5 days to the United States, the end of November, which is actually on my youngest son's 4th year birthday, right? And it was a difficult decision, and I must take it, right? For improvement for our lives and for everybody and delivering the value. So I'm really looking forward to it. And on the other end, I'm like, oh man, I'm not going to be there for his birthday. So that's it, man. You've been through something very similar that made you make some decisions, right? And let's start off with that, man. I think it's very important for dadpreneurs, right? To know that are stressed out about it. Like, how do we deal with this? How does that go, right?
By the way, Klaus, he's 4. He won't remember it when he's 14.
That's true.
and so I wouldn't sweat the small stuff in this situation. Now, if he was 8, don't go.
No.
So for all those dads, I've got 5 kids. My oldest is 14. My youngest is 2. So I've seen these ages and stages. So let's, I guess we'll dive in, and we'll just start off where 2010, I've got my oldest son, 5.5 years old. A dream was birthed for me, and it was this intense desire to tell a story for my son that I wanted to get out to other dads because it was such a powerful experience. It turned into such a wonderful time in my life where I'm parenting, I'm running a cleaning business as my main source of income, and I'm developing a whole platform that I ended up calling Dadnamics for fathers. It was a really creative, kind of quirky way of me using my dad creativity to help parents, get, more connection with their kid by being creative. And it was a passion project. Through this time, I took these original stories with my son, and I turned them. It took 5.5 years. I turned it into a book, and a really awesome interactive book called Arctic Land. And it was, it's where you put your son's name, like the dad reads his son's name or daughter into the book, and it's like this Indiana Jones meets Narnia kind of a adventure. So it's interactive. They have like projects you go do, you leave the book environment, you go do stuff. That's really, you go, rock climb, or try and get water out of a tree, or make like this wood whistle, like in the workshop, you're doing stuff. And this is a 5.5 year passion project for me. Turn the clock ahead, 2000, published that in 15, 16, 17, I'm going all in on the side of my main business to bring this message to dads. A video blog every single week, and I so enjoyed doing this. But there was a time where a critical decision had to be made. And here we are, we're living in upstate New York, going on our 19th year of being away from our family, like our bigger family. I'm from the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area. And I promised my wife we'd only be away for a couple of years while I pursued an engineering career dream, which turned into something else, but yet we were still away for a long time. And to get this to the point of what the decision was, in early 2018, we had made a really big decision that it was time to make the move and leave New York, and everything our kids knew, that we were there for 16 years. That's all they knew. They were all born there, to go on an adventure back to our hometown. That meant that I would have to sell my cleaning company. I had no idea how to do that. I knew it was going to be a massive amount of energy to pour into that. Also from helping my sons, there's a boys mentorship program that we're involved with at our church called Rural Rangers. I was the leader at our church doing this, responsible for 30 boys and 7 other volunteer men. And I was like leading the church in this program. And it's like, well, I have to break ties with this and like finding a leadership continuation plan. I got to sell our business. But yet I really want, and I'm coaching cleaning company owners on the side at this point. And I'm like, well, how do I maintain my passion project? And the more I looked at it, the more I just realized, I'm reading the book Essentialism at the time. I'm realizing that something is going to have to give. And it was a very emotional and painful decision. And we can dig into different elements of the story, however you'd like to go. But just know that the decision I made was to take my passion project and put it on the shelf. Put it on the shelf in January 2018, sent out an email newsletter to my mailing list, about 1,000 people, and said, I'm taking a pause. Dadnamics is paused, but it's not over. And I had no idea when and if I'd get back to it. So here I am. It's a year and a half, almost 2 years later. We haven't restarted it. I still have people that might sign up for the newsletter here and there. The book's still sitting on my shelf. I have lots of dreams and ambitions I'd love to do with that. And here I am talking to you on a Fearless Father podcast. And it's cool to see it come back full circle right now. So I'm not sure how you want to go with this, but that was a really, really painful and tough decision for me personally.
Exactly. So how did you go about making that decision? How does that process go? Is that logical thinking? Is it looking at your values, trying to find that alignment? Is it just listening to your heart? And of course, you got the wife, you got 5 kids. Well, I'm assuming a 2-year-old didn't stick up his hand and had a vote, but I'm assuming the 14-year-old had something of what we should call a vote, right? Or some input that you could share.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the kids had an impact in the way that I would have to look at them and say, I'm doing something for you right now. What is the best thing I can do for you? And look at my wife and say, what's the best thing I can do for you? So emotionally, yes, there's a huge emotional component. And I'm a very emotional creature. I really am. I cry at movies. I get really emotional with the kids. But I'm also a former engineer, so I'm very logical. And so there's a weird battle between my brain and the emotional and logical. So I'll tell you where the decision started. Years ago, I heard how John Maxwell ends his years. I just loved his process. It was something simple to me, and he calls it Think Week. You may have seen this, but the last week of the year, he ends his year, Christmas, and he goes from Christmas to New Year's. Like as soon as Christmas is over, the 26th to the 31st, he blocks it out. He gets his check, like no computer, just like old school calendar, paper calendar, and his checkbook. I guess he probably has updated the process. And he just looks at those two things and, intuitively, rationally, logically, emotionally, this goes in line with what I learned from Tim Ferriss too on the 80-20 rule. He says that, hey, 20% of your relationships lead to 80% of your happiness. 20% of your relationships lead to 80% of your, unhappiness. 20% of your clients lead to 80%. You can do that at everything. 20% of your time, 20% of your projects. And so I'm looking at everything I'm doing. I'm laying it out on paper. A big list. I've got this list in one of my notebooks buried in my drawer. And maybe there's 30 to 40 things. Here's all of my items. And I'm just looking at them. And I'm saying, okay, there are some things that I know for me to achieve this big goal in 2018, which is transition leadership to where we're at with our church, sell our company as a big one, maintain our cleaning clients, sell our company, get the money, maintain our clients, train the new owner, and be out of New York, business fully delegated and trained all within about a 6-month time period, 6.5-month time period. Like we had to do it. It was very quick. And I knew that would take a tremendous amount of effort. And when I put all that on the list, and you just, okay, well, which things can I automate? Which things can I delegate? Which things can I batch? But then there's the category, which things do I need to eliminate? And I had trouble justifying. I mean, when I came to my Dadnamics passion project, it was an exorbitant amount of time. I mean, it was weekly. I mean, you probably know if you're doing a weekly video and writing a blog and linking it and going, if you don't have a VA or doing it like that, I mean, I was spending hours every week. And I'm like, well, gosh, if I didn't spend those hours, what's the possibility of it? Or if I do continue spending these, let's say 5-6 hours a week, 7 hours a week on this, what will that prevent me from doing? What if this causes me to get to the end of June 2018 and we're moving that next day and the business maybe is sold, maybe it's not, maybe it's transitioned, maybe it's not. And I may have to drive back and forth between 2 states to finish the process. I didn't want that to happen. I really wanted this to be done. I wanted a clean break when we left New York at the end of June 2018. And so we made that decision. This is going to have to be eliminated. And I didn't say it's gone forever. It's just paused. And I took other things out too. I took my leadership role and I narrowed it down. Something I had a lot of passion doing is leading the Royal Rangers. I took my time from 10 plus hours a week down to like 1. So I eliminated other things because I knew I needed the mental and physical space and emotional space to do something as massive as selling a company in the span of 6.5 months. So it was a process, to answer your question. It was a lot of logical stuff, but it was a lot of tears, and it was a lot of praying, and it was a lot of asking questions of my coaches, and it was a lot of screwing up, and it was a lot of all of that. A lot of talking with my wife after midnight. It was a lot of failure. It was a lot of, is anyone going to buy this business? Am I going to find anyone? And then boom, he appears. It was a very interesting time that I'm not sure I look forward to doing it ever again, but a lot of lessons I feel. And you know what? And for your audience that are dads, here's, I think, one of the greatest kind of takeaways from the story. Like, that's great. You may be listening to this or watching this, live cast. You might not be in a position where you're selling a company, right? Maybe it is making that decision, to not skip your 4-year-old's birthday party. There are decisions that we make every day as dads. And what I always notice is that no matter what decision I'm making, they're watching. They're watching. And so how can I make sure that my decision will be a legacy decision for them? So it makes it even harder to make that decision when you know that, in my case, there's 10 eyes plus my wife watching what I do. And it's a lot of pressure,
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of ideas, thoughts, and emotions, not just your own, but also, as we discussed, like, your kids. I mean, the one that's 14, he's been living there for 14 years, right? 14 years. At the age of 14, if I look at when I was 13, 14, girlfriends starting to come a little bit as well. Not really, but, still like, you know what I mean? So it's like, so yeah, man, I definitely understand that. So before we go any further, man, you've already shared a lot about you, right? You have 5 kids, married. What up, Jago? We got a special guest coming in.
Uh-oh. Hello.
This is my 6-year-old, Jago.
Hey, Jago.
Happy birthday party?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Tata, de unos pequeños.
You had a nice pie. Okay, good. So say bye to Kim.
Bye.
And make sure you.
Okay, Jago.
All right, thanks, buddy. They just came back from a birthday party, so I knew they were going to come in, which is always great. The tiny one might still come in. Hey, what's going on, Dom? I'm glad you're with us, man. So before we go further, right, because this is very important and discussion, because I think every dadpreneur struggles with this, right? Am I making the right choice? How do I make the right choice? How to make the right decisions for my family, for myself, for my business? There's so many things. There's so many hats, right? But before we go into that, share something. Like I just said, you got 5 kids. You're married. We know that already about you. And what is something else that you could share with us that we don't know yet?
Okay. Well, gosh, I definitely have my son, my oldest son and I definitely are huge Star Wars geeks.
Ah, nice.
So we love Star Wars. You got one there?
Number 2. Yeah, buddy. Oh, we got 2 dogs, he says.
And 2 dogs?
Okay. That's Ken. Say hi, Ken.
Hello.
Okay, that's not very polite, sweetie. Okay.
May the force be with you.
Thank you. Come on. Say bye-bye, Ken. Very good. All right, make sure you close the door, okay, buddy? Please close the door.
No.
Please close the door. There you go. That's great. Thank you. Man, that's one of the first times you actually closed the door.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he usually doesn't. He's very sneaky. Very, I don't know what the word is, but yeah, he likes to.
He's 4. It's in the design.
Yeah. No, he's not 4 yet. He's still got a couple of months to go. So.
Well.
But yeah, Star Wars geeks, man. That we like that.
Yep. I mean, I didn't know there was things in the Star Wars universe outside of the movies until about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. I admittedly, my son, my oldest, my teenager, we've been diving, and some of my other kids too have been coming along, but we've been diving into everything out there, Star Wars, and so we're like giddy about this new movie coming out in a few months, and it's right after his birthday. He turns 15, then boom, and we've seen all these movies that they've been coming out since he's been like 10 or 11. So that's definitely something about me. I'll say I met my wife on a beach. That doesn't happen too often. Mm-hmm. We spent 2 years in South Carolina, which was really cool. Mm-hmm. What are the types of things would you be looking for? Like Philadelphia wise, I mean, I that's where I'm from. So I love Rocky. I love cheesesteaks, obviously. And being back in the Philadelphia area, one of the hardest things is not getting fat because the food is so good here. Mm-hmm. I'm a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan. And I think probably, more relevant, to a growth-minded audience, I'm a huge fan of personal development. I love learning. I've got a book full of, I got a shelf full of books. And although I've been actually pretty terrible at reading them, the paper versions of books in the past year or two, I've gotten to the point where it gets to nighttime and I'm done. I'm like, I can't read even a few pages. So I've been doing Audible, free. There's books through there's some books on YouTube I used to listen to because I'd be cleaning houses in my career. That business has sold. I'm still doing it. But I get just downtime. I can listen to one to 2, 3 books a month on Audible. So I really enjoy that, listening to podcasts. So those are really important to make sure that I'm always growing. And we as a family are we homeschool. That's probably something interesting.
Oh yeah, it is.
We homeschool our kids, and we're very interested in bringing up our kids in the entrepreneur's way. Mm-hmm. We don't want to assume that jobs are going to be there and abundant in 10 more years when it's time for them to go and make a life for themselves. So instead, I think there's a default in our society. I'm not sure about in Europe, but the default, it would be, well, go to college for the job and then think of a business that you can do on the side. And I'm not dismissing that at all, but what we teach our kids is, let's equip our kids with the skills of business now when they're in their we started at 11 years old. Let's start them at 11, 12, 13, 14 years old and actually help them develop their own business. And my oldest has already been doing it for a couple of years. Oh, my second's coming on. And so how can we get them in that mindset of having their own business when they're teenagers? And then if they want to go on for continuing education or for college or whatever, and maybe they want to get a job, then they've got a business already. Maybe the job is just fuel for the business, income wise, or many other options. So we don't want to kind of handcuff them and say college and jobs is the way, and hey, maybe one day come back around to this business thing. We want to put them in a position that they could do a full-time business before they even, like, what if they have a business built and they can hire college grads at 22 instead of graduating at 22?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with you there. Here it's actually more like, go to college, get a job, get a house, pay lots of mortgage, right? And buy a nice car and get a loan on that as well. So, you have to work harder at your job, and they don't even discuss the possibilities of starting your own business, right? So I'm right there with you, man. I'm thinking about that as well. I'm thinking about it a lot. Now they're only 3 and 6, so I still got a little bit of time. But for example, one of my good friends from the UK, his son is 7 now. He has his own YouTube channel, and he posts. I think he does like one video a week or something like that. Either Lego cards or how they build a Lego thing, or what did he last time, the slime things. I have no idea about that stuff, but I think that's pretty cool. I'm like, look at that. Then he's already working on being out there, right? Which is amazing. So yeah, man, I'm absolutely there with you. I would say keep me posted, because as I said, I'm really looking like, okay, how can I do this for me? One of my priorities right now is just making sure that both my sons speak really well English, because that's where it's at. Like the Spanish market is, it's nice here in Spain, but that's not where it's at. I mean, everybody that's really big speaks English and is on the English market. So that's the goal. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, you have time. I mean, like you said, they're 3, almost 4, and 6. I wasn't thinking like this when my 2 oldest were 6 and 3, the same as yours are now. I was just like, how do we stop them from picking their nose? How do we get them to start doing some chores around the house? So we started with simple things like giving them responsibility and some commission for some things they do around the house, like starting to teach them the relationship between work and money, but also that there are family obligations as well.
Yeah.
That there's no free ride, even though you're a kid. There's no free ride here, because we don't want to prepare our kids for failure, right? Like the real world isn't going to be like that.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm actually not paying them for chores. I'm paying them for them learning how to read and write. Yeah. Because for me, that's the next step for them to actually start reading books. It's like mathematics. I'm probably familiar with the kid being successful. How his dad did that with him. I'm kind of trying to follow that strategy, right? So tell me about the shirt, man, because Entrepreneur on Fire, that's
yeah, I'm a big fan of the show. John's had me on the show to share about my journey in cleaning about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, I guess. And I got this shirt when I went to Podcast Movement in Philadelphia last year. Awesome. And I went to one of his Paradise events, and he had these shirts. And I shout out to John, because he does make like the best shirts. So I just like it. It's very comfortable.
Nice. Yeah, I really enjoy listening to him and check out what he's doing. I mean, he is a pioneer for sure, and an absolute beast. And I'm very sad that he doesn't have any kids, so I can invite him on the show.
He'd have a lot to share.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm very strict. I only want dadpreneurs. Like I made the split after I reached 100 live interviews. I said, from now on forward, only dadpreneurs. So I'm actually writing a couple of them that are really booming. They got so much stuff to share. I'm like, dude, man, I think it's time for kids. I'm not kidding. And they're like, why? So you can come on my show.
I'm out of curiosity, Klaus. Yeah. Do you find, so out of your 100, interviews, do most of them start a business after becoming dads because they had a major life change, or is it the other way around? They were already in business, then they became a dad. Which one do you see more often?
That's a great question, man. It might just be 50-50, but I think it's more 75-50 or 75-25 as in 75-50. Wow. No, 75-25 as in they first started or they already had their business before they had kids.
So it's more of, so this show is geared more towards you've got a business, but now now you're a dad. There's a whole nother role added to you. So how do you make those adjustments? Because it's not easy, especially in those first 12 months of being a dad, when the kid's not sleeping, your wife's not sleeping, you're probably not sleeping. There's a lot of stress in the home, and you're just trying to survive, but yet keep your business afloat and not go backward, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I've noticed a lot is that I'm just focused on the dadpreneurs that are struggling really with, okay, I want to make my business work, and I'm fully focused on that, but how do I coordinate? How do I plan? Like almost every one of them is like time management is pretty much my biggest struggle, right? How do I be there? And that's awesome. I love it. And then I also have contacts with guys that are thinking of like, I want to be a dadpreneur, right? And they're like, but how do I do this? And I want to help them, because for me, being a dadpreneur is like, it's the best. Being able to wake them up in the morning, take them to school, pick them up, play with them like there's no tomorrow in the playground, and then be with them here in the house. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. I won't change it for the world.
I mean, this is a really great topic. Is this something you want to dive into, like time management strategy? Have you dealt with this often on your show? Because we can go there.
Well, it's definitely one of the topics that I always like to discuss about. So if you have tips and tricks on how you make sure, because you got 5 kids, that's a lot more than I could share with only 2 in that case. So yeah, I would love to hear how you do that to make sure that, and plus the wife, of course, how you make sure that, how do you organize it in a way that, your business thrives, however, you're still really connected and focused on your kids, right?
Okay. There's going to be several different like groupings of your audience here. There's going to be the mom and dad that both work. I mean, I'm guessing there are probably a lot of side hustle dads here. You can have mom and dad working, kids in school / daycare, dad side hustling. I've been there. There's mom at home, kids at school, back and forth, dad working, side hustle. There's mom at home, dad working his own business and working a ton and trying to figure that out. There's mom working, dad at home. There's mom and dad at home working from home doing their thing. I've actually experienced, I think, every single one of them. I've been through a big arc in my career. The one I'm in right now, I can just share from this one. It sounds ironic to say, I'm working from home, and I'm gonna be changing that soon. I'm gonna be going back and taking on some more clients for my cleaning business. But for the past year, post business sale, I've been working from home, developing essentially coaching groups. And I've been working on that for over a year now. My wife's at home, homeschooling the kids. So here it is. Mom's at home full time. The kids are at home full time. Dad's at home full time. And it sounds like the dream, right? But it's probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do time management wise. It is so difficult. And for the folks that are listening to this, that mom is working, dad is working, you're going to hear me and that's going to piss you off. And I'm really sorry. I was once there and I totally get that. I'd be angry at myself too. It really is hard because you want to work, but yet there's no real deadlines except for those that are self-imposed. There's no boss waiting for me to show up. There's no, I've got to get a project done for someone else. It's, I've got to get this done for myself. I have to set my own deadlines. I have to force myself to get to bed at a certain time so I can get up by a certain time, so I can get to work by a certain time, so I can finish up by a certain time. So I'm not sitting on my computer at 7 p.m. and missing dinner and not being with my kids. There's this cycle, and you get in your office, the kids are home, my wife is home, my door is shut. So that's one sign. That's one tip, is you have to somehow create, a place where you can have, a work environment. And that's really hard when you're working from home. But I will share, I think, a tip as far as like just connection. And this comes, and I think this goes into like an 80-20 kind of hack on time. Okay. I'm not sure if you've heard this one before. And I get this from Dr. James Dobson. He used to be Focus on the Family. He's written so many books on parenting. And in one of his books, I read this and it really got me thinking, and it became one of the cornerstones of the Dadnamics platform I was building to help dads. And he says this, he's like, there are 4 times of the day when the time that you invest with your children are the absolute most beneficial. So I'm like, okay, so if I do these 4 times, so let's say I'm busy and dad is never around. Like it's not the quantity versus quality thing. We know the answer is both, right? We know the answer is both. But if you are strapped for time and you've got very little margin, the first thing I would say is get on a date night with your wife at least once a week and hit these 4 times as many days as you can. So wife once a week, and see your kids first, be with your kids when they first wake up. That's time number 1. Time number 2 is when they first get home from school. And if they're not school-age kids or if they're homeschooled, there's a slightly different dynamic there. But most kids go to school. So wake up when they first get home from school. The third one is dinner time, which this is a whole nother controversial area of all these parents wanting their kids to be superstar baseball players, superstar soccer players. Over in Spain, football, right? It's football players, or it's let's get our kids into every single league possible. That can kill dinner time with the family. We don't do it that way. We are home for dinner every night of the week. A few times we miss or someone is not here, but dinner time is vital. So that's the third time. The fourth time is the moments before they go to sleep. And so those 4 times are 4 hacks that if you're a super strapped dad on time, gosh, what if you only have an hour? I mean, that's sad. It makes me feel sad if that's all you have, but it's a reality. It really is. I mean, until you can figure out how to free up some more time, but you've got that hour. What I would say to do is get up with your kids and spend 20 minutes with them first thing in the morning. Have breakfast with them. If you're a person of faith, do a devotional time with them, or read a book with them, or do something, do a game, help them get ready, and use that time. Don't just do the thing, but ask questions like, so what are you looking forward to today? What is the school going to look like? Oh, really? How was school yesterday? Like, just ask questions. Like, what are you excited about today? What's your goal for today? And then they're going to go to school. Maybe you drop them off at school, right? That car time could be substituted first thing in the morning as well. The second they get home from school, now some dads don't have the ability to be home when their kids are home from school. So make it maybe when you get home from school, your work. So find what works for you. But as soon as you see your kid, wipe the face off of whatever went on that day. So if you're like this, kind of inside, when you come home, change it to like that. change your face and create some kind of a daily tradition, if you will. Like my kids, I used to get back from my cleaning day, and they like, Daddy's home. They'd all like wait at the steps. I'd walk in the door. I'm like, okay, here comes the rumble. 4 boys, right? And I put my stuff down, and they would jump off the stairs. I'd be catching them and staggering back and giving them hugs and trying, like, for me to get from the front door to the fridge to put my work bag down. It was like this procession, like dragging kids through the hallway. Some days it wasn't, some days it was, but like when I first got home, or when they get home from school, get with them. So how was your day? Like what went on today? What scared you? What made you excited? You looking forward to tomorrow? Whatever. Just ask just yes, no questions. Ask questions that make them interact. And then, let them go about their business, and then make sure you get them back at dinner. And at dinner time, share some gratitude, go around the table, do thankfulness stuff, and talk. I get into, maybe you're like this too, but at dinner, many times the kids will be doing their, even though we're sitting at the same table, the kids are doing their thing, goofing off. And I'm like talking to my wife, like finally I'm talking to my wife for the first time, maybe all day. And I have to like click out of that and be like, wait a second, this isn't beneficial to the family. And I need to adjust and be like, And I told my wife Teresa, okay, hey, let's talk some more tonight after the kids are in bed or whenever we can, and then just, hey, Kenny, how was your day? Cool. And go around each kid and, tell us something about your day that we don't know, or what was something that excited, like the same kind of questions. They might get like, Dad, you asked me this question this morning and this afternoon. I know, I just love you, man. Just want to hang out. And the last time is the bedtime. And what I have found most effective is reading out loud to your kids. That's why I wrote a book. There's an amazing power in reading aloud to your kids that can connect you guys. It will also, if your kids are trying to learn the English language, I've seen the studies. There's no better way of a kid learning vocabulary. And actually, this comes from I was listening to the Harry Potter series on audiobook, and the audio reader Jim Dale, at the end of each of these books, he big English accent. At the end of each book, he goes through and shares the power of audiobooks, and it's like, just 15 minutes a day of an audiobook like this can increase your kids' vocabulary more than like any other tool out there. And but I just love the power of reading aloud right before bed, and jumping into some really cool adventure with them through a book and just exploring. And obviously there's plenty of other things you can do. I mean, I love just connecting, and there's much more to do outside of those 4 times. But as far as time management, I'm kind of speaking to, one side which has no time at all, but can they find an hour, even 15 minutes for each of those 4, 15 minutes for each one? That's 1 hour a day, 7 hours a week. That's less than, that's a half of what the average American at least is watching TV, So that'd be my like time management hack for the super, super busy. And then the other extreme, people like me right now, where I've got, perceivably like 24 hours I could be with my kids, but it's really difficult. And for me, I have to set work hours.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you probably do the same thing. And I have to teach my kids and my wife to respect those boundaries. And it's really difficult. And I don't want to say no. And they come in, they're so cute like you. The 2 kids came into the office. Like, mine do that to me all the time. They jump in my lap, and I'm like, they want to play, and I feel so guilty. And I want to, if they were at school or I was at work, I'll see you at 5 o'clock. But they're there, and they're coming. They're playing hide and seek right through the room I'm in. I'm like, guys, I'm trying to work. And it's hard to manage time when you have a lot. And honestly, I have not been that productive in the past few months this summer, because I've allowed distractions, even the ones I love, to throw me off. So there's so much in this time management, world. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. I don't know if that kind of
I love the tips, man. I never knew that about the 4 times a day. I think that's very helpful for the very busy dads. My wife works. I'm always at home. My kids just started school again last month, or this week. They've had summer vacation for 10 weeks. So it was then 24/7 with me, and the last week was absolutely horrific. And I had a coaching call in the morning, and they just kept coming in. They kept coming in, and it was just like, dude, are we going to the playground or what's going on? I'm like, just let Daddy finish, please. How long? 10 minutes. He came in. My oldest came in every single time. Right? And then again, he's like, hey, dude, I know, man. Yeah, exactly. Every minute he came in. And I'm like, all right, I'm sorry, man. They're going to school next week. We got to do this again. So it was hilarious. We both laughed. I mean, that's the good thing, that all my clients are dadpreneurs, so they all know what it's like. My biggest hack, because the funny thing is that during that summer, I've had the best quarter ever since that I started becoming Phil's father. And the reason for that is that I started a new course called The Coach's Secret with Akbar Sheikh. And he shared with us he calls it the blackjack dealer method, where you work 45 minutes and you take 50 minutes off. And I work 45 minutes, and then I take 15 minutes to be with them, fully focused, concentrated. And that for them is enough for me then to have enough to stay 45 minutes here. And that really, really worked. So that was pretty awesome. Plus, just saying like, okay, that time we gotta go.
Yeah, I see the comment from Dominic over here.
Yeah,
I just read that. Dominic, I saw the same story. I'm not sure if it was by the same author, but man, I heard someone ask the question like of the busy dad, where the kid says to him, "Well, Dad, how much do you make at your job?" Dad's like, "Oh, like no, how much do you make?" He's like, 50,000 or whatever he says. I mean, how much do you make per hour? And Dad's like had to think. So he's like, okay, 50. That's like $25 an hour or whatever it is, $30 an hour. So he says, oh, about $30 an hour. And he says, Dad, can I buy an hour of your time so we can go have a catch this weekend?
That's insane.
And I have $30 right here. Yeah, Dominic, that messed me up too. I said in the beginning I'm a crier, so I think I'll get
the reputation pulled on my heartstrings. Yeah, man. Thanks for sharing that, Dom. I did not see that, but that would definitely make me shed a couple of tears as well, man. Oof. But yeah, that's the world as well, right? Sometimes as a dad, we have to do what we have to do, or as a parent, because there's moms out there as well that just doing what they got to do, right? Single moms, single dads. Woo! I mean, I got some love for those people. I mean, mad respect, making it work. I actually have a client of mine who's a single dad and he's making it work. And I'm just like, man, dude, props. I love talking to him every single week. So yeah, man, getting close to the end. I want to put in one more question right there.
Yeah.
So you were talking about, right, that you're doing a lot of Audible at the moment, right? Listening to audiobooks. I'm not me personally, right? I tried it. I'm not a big fan of it. Just I have the feeling that I'm not absorbing as much. I'm not taking as much action. My brain goes away when I listen to So, but that's it, man. You do have this that you share with me, right? The resources. You got 16 books in there. I want to put you on the spot a little bit, maybe. But for the people that are listening with us right now, just click on the link. It's in the comment section. You can check out the 16 books that are recommended by you, right? What's your top 3 out of those 16?
Well, the 2 that I've been recommending a lot recently, they're my favorites, at least at this season of life. Number 1 is The Go-Giver.
Okay.
I love that book. It makes, again, going back to tears, that is one that does drive a lot of emotion. Another book that I highly recommend is Essentialism, which we talked about a little earlier. And that book there will really help you to focus and figure out what's important. And if you read that, you'll totally see why I knew I had to make my decision that I mentioned in the beginning of this interview. Mm-hmm. So Go-Giver, Essentialism. There's a lot of other great ones on that list. I'm not sure I'm going to pick a third one, but I'll share one from a dad perspective that is just my favorite book. I don't really think it's on this list, but it's my favorite book, period. And it's called The Choice. And The Choice, it's by Og Mandino. And it's oh my gosh. It's a story of a man who's a corporate guy. 2 boys at home they never see their dad. They couldn't even buy any of his time because he had none to sell. And he goes through this heart change, and he quits his job. Just quits his job and decides he's going to go into another career. He's going to become a writer. He's big in the personal development space. He was in the sales business before, and he's going to become a writer. And you see just his life going through these different phases. And at the end of it, there's this choice he has to make, which is so impactful. And I cannot divulge what it is. I'll just share that for me, I've read this book about 7 or 8 times. Each time I read it, I get something else, just something new from it, because I'm at a different place in my own life's arc. And in the very beginning, I was a corporate engineer for GE. So I was relating to what that's like. And then I'm over here trying to figure out how to start a business. And I'm a different place in this guy's life. And then I'm writing a book. I was a different place. And now I'm over here. So each time I read it, I get something new from it. But those 3 books I would would recommend.
Awesome. Appreciate that.
Yep.
It was a perfect question to fill it up to make sure that we reach the 45 minutes. I always like to have around that time. So besides, and I shared in the beginning, I'll share it right now as well. This link is also in the comment section. We've been talking about pretty much the whole time about this, your side project, Dadnamics, which is absolutely fantastic. So tell us, what's the best way for the dadpreneurs that have been listening that are like, man, I want to follow Ken, or I want to ask him some more questions. I want to connect with you. What are the best ways?
Yeah, so the easiest way right now would be to go to my main website, which is thesmartcleaningbiz.com. And also you can email me, or you can look me up on Facebook, or you can email me at kencarfagno@gmail.com. That's my personal email address. You can feel free to go there. As far as, the website Dadnamics, that's on the shelf. And I really hope I get to come back to this. And it's, I'm currently building a business called, my cleaning company, which I had sold, but I'm rebuilding it here in the new area. And in my coaching, I help other cleaning owners break through the wall. I mean, they get stuck, so I'm helping them break through. And the current group of cleaners I'm helping right now are the ones that I used to be, which is cleaning by yourself. And so you mentioned audiobooks, and here's what ties it all together. I was in a business where, although I was cleaning houses and offices, I had no employees. And I had built that company to the most I could possibly do, completely, everything against the wall, 5-6 days a week, multiple, not seeing my kids that much. And I needed a better way. And so the interview I was on with Entrepreneur Fire, I shared how I went from working 5 days a week, cleaning by myself, to getting all the way down to 3 days a week and keeping the same income. Well, I took that down to 2 days a week and still making the same income. And that opened up a lot of time for my kids. That's the process that allowed me to sell my business, to get back home, get back to our hometown. So now I'm helping other cleaning company owners that don't want to hire people. They just want to work by themselves, but they want more time back in their life. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of moms out there that, dads as well, but moms or dads that if they're stuck in their job and they never thought they could make, you can make some really good money cleaning if you have the right model. I mean, it's a simple job. Everyone needs it. Simple business anyway. And I could listen to so many podcasts and audiobooks while I'm cleaning. And for me, my mind is wired that way, where I can listen and just completely, soak it in. But that's my current project is helping moms and dads to start a cleaning company by themselves without having to worry about hiring people. Just going and cleaning by yourself, a couple hours a week. They want to do 20, 30 hours a week. That's fine too. But there's, US dollars, you can make 30 to 50,000 a year part-time doing cleaning. It can be very profitable. So that's my, the podcast I have coming out in a few weeks is going to be called Solo Cleaning School. And I'll be teaching, these parents how they can, go from their busy life and start a company like this. And I'll link them in with companies that are already doing it and doing well with it. So it'll be a nice relationship, between the new guy or the new mom and the mom already doing it. So that's what Smart Cleaning Biz is, my coaching side of my cleaning company, where all that is housed. So that was a big answer to your question. I apologize if that puts us over.
No, not a problem at all. I love it. Thanks for sharing that. And of course, best of luck with it. I love listening to dadpreneurs getting really passionate about helping others and make an impact in their lives, right? Because I think that's what it's all about. The money, sure, we need money, we need food, we have objectives, we want to be wealthy, etc. But it's the impact that makes us do what we do. So I love it. So I actually appreciate it that you went on that. So yeah, Ken, thanks again, man, for taking the time. Thanks for being on. Thanks for all your insights, experience, and for your openness. That unfortunately Dadnamics is on the shelf at the moment, and to be honest, we can't wait to see it get dusted off and coming out alive again. And from us, from Become a Fierce Father, and I'm sure from all my followers and the audiences that are watching, if there's anything ever that we can do to help you, it'll be our pleasure for sure. Everybody that's been watching, thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. We'll be on again next week, of course, at 9 p.m. CET. Same time, same time, same bet channel, I believe, something like that.
Yep.
Anyway, thanks all. I appreciate every one of you, and see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
We'll see you.
Are you still meeting up with your friends now that you're a father? Kids making you stress out. You got no time for yourself to work out, read, or relax. Can you still remember the time you were hanging out with your friends, feeling energetic, happy, and confident? Spending time together and talking about your life and your crazy dreams. You're feeling alone now, don't you? No one to share your challenges with, and you're just running around from one storm into the next. Well, it's time to change this now. Join me and the Brotherhood of Fearless Fathers to speak on a weekly basis with like-minded dads to crush your challenges, face your fears with determination, be held accountable, and regain control of your life. If you want to become the hero your family needs you to be, then go to becomeafearlessfather.com/brotherhood. I'm looking forward to seeing you on one of our next calls.